Never let anybody see you sweat.
So I was born in New York City, and I lived there until I was 8 years old. I realized that I was a much better talker than I was a listener. I don't know what to say, I just don't like what you're saying.
Sorry, Your Honor.
I ended up going to law school at Georgetown, and I was a prosecutor for Janet Reno. I loved it because it was so raw. Were you cheating on her?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All rise.
Our show will be a mixture of education, I think you're misreading the law a little bit, and entertainment. My main goal is justice and the law. That's been my legacy, and the legacy I hope to continue into the future with the show.
Sandra White claims her expensive bicycle was wrecked when she swerved to avoid hitting the plaintiff's unleashed dog. Thomas Alvarez says Miss White was avoiding a squirrel, and his dog is not to blame for her loss of control.
Ms. White, you are suing Mr. Alvarez for $2,240 because, according to you, the defendant's dog caused you to crash your bike. Tell me what happened.
Yes, Your Honor. Ever since I was a child, I have been huge in outdoor activities. And eventually, when I was old enough, they bought me my first bike, and honestly, my life has never been the same since. So as I got older, I realized I couldn't really make money cycling, so I ended up moving to Memphis, Tennessee, and I got a property management position there.
But you cycle.
I still cycled.
All right, so this park where this happened, tell me about the park.
Yes, I saved up for my absolute dream bike. I'd been wanting this bike for 2 years. Around November 1st, I bought this bike, one of those lightweight, high-performance bikes.
Do you have a receipt for the purchase?
Not for the original one, but I will get to the older one, the more recent one, when I had to repurchase it. So this bike originally was $2,240, which for me was very expensive. It took me a long time to save up for it. I live about 5 miles from my favorite park, which is Jackson Park, and there's a nice little dog park there, Jackson Dog Park. So I was biking. This was one of my, what I call a rest day. So I was going about 7 to 8 miles per hour, which is a pretty...
7 to 8 miles an hour?
Hold on, sir. This is not an audience participation sport. In a moment, I will give you the floor, but I can only hear one person at a time. Go ahead.
Lo and behold, as I was coming across the dog park, I noticed that the gate for the dog park was open, and I actually have a piece of evidence here I would like to present.
What is this?
This is a map of the incident that I put together, so you could see the dog park.
So you're good at graphics. Okay.
Yes.
So, so this is, hold on. Let's take a look at this.
So what happened here, as you can see the dog park.
This is you on the bike?
Yes, that's me on the bike.
The dog park is to your right.
Yes.
According to you, you're going 7 or 8 miles.
Yes.
And the dog, which is twice your size.
It's not perfect, Your Honor.
Is this a squirrel?
That's a squirrel. So what happened, I saw the gate was open. I come across this park all the time. There's a sign on the gate that says keep closed at all times. I was biking down this path when I saw a squirrel start to shoot out from the dog park.
Yeah.
Right behind it, a dog is chasing it. And I love dogs, Your Honor. I have a dog myself.
But you digress. So the dog is crossing the path where you are,
Yes.
and you don't have time to hit your brakes.
Yes.
So
I started to brake, but I was going, at that point, it was way too close, so I had to swerve out of the way, and as you could see, I went straight into the bench. I fell off the bike. The time I looked up, the owner, Tom here,
Was the dog on a leash?
The dog was not on a leash, Your Honor.
Okay. Did the dog run into traffic? Because that's where the road is.
What happened, when I hit the bench with my bike, I spooked the dog. So at this point, the dog forgot about the squirrel, noticed his owner, Tom, chasing behind him. Tom managed to get him back on the sidewalk, so he was no longer in the street or the bike path.
for the record, he never...
I'm going to need you to be quiet until you are addressed by the court.
Yes,
Go on.
I got up. Luckily, I have a helmet. I'm a very safe bicyclist, so I was not severely
Was there damage
injured.
to the bike?
The bike was severely damaged. I have another piece of evidence I would like to present.
Give me any evidence you have on the bike. Don't give it to me one by one. Give me all your evidence on the bike.
This is
look
the
at that.
purchase receipt that happened after. I will get to that. But as you could see, the front wheel was completely bent. Handlebars were crooked, the frame was cracked, and I just bought this 2 weeks before this incident. Luckily, since I was 5 miles from home,
Do you have proof that you bought it 2 weeks before the incident?
I do not have that receipt.
So how
on
do I
me
know
evidence.
that it's the same, that, you know, this wasn't a much cheaper bike and you wanted a much more expensive bike? If all you brought me was the evidence of your replacement of the bike.
I didn't at the time save receipts because I've never had something like
Right,
this
but you could have
happen
gone
to me
back
before.
and that's what litigants do. They go back and they get the receipt from the bike shop.
I understand, Your Honor.
Let me hear from you, Mr. Alvarez. You had been at the park with your dog for how long?
At that point, I'd been about an hour, Your Honor.
Okay. Was the dog tired?
Not at that point, Your
Not
Honor.
too tired to chase a squirrel. Squirrel. And did the dog, what happened? Tell me why the door is open, why your dog is off leash, why your dog ends up running. You know, your dog could have ended up running into traffic and been flattened.
Yes, Your Honor.
So talk to me and tell me what happened.
So my dog's name is Charlie. He's my baby. He's 3 years old. It's an off-leash dog park, Your Honor. So the dogs run and they have fun and the owners...
Inside the park is
Yes,
off-leash.
yes. Typically.
Outside the park, though, we have this little thing called a leash that we have to have, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
I start pursuing Charlie, yelling his name, and I'm able to catch him at the sidewalk. Far
It
before...
was not at the
Right, hold
sidewalk,
on.
Your
Excuse
Honor.
me, ma'am. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. I do not want you to just shout out stuff.
And later,
What did you say or do?
I took the trash can and I emptied it on her bed and I told her that you are trash.
if you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Sandra White, who is suing Thomas Alvarez over a busted-up bicycle.
So go on.
So I don't know how the gate got open. I don't know who opened it or who left it open. Your Honor, I personally always close it behind me, and typically it is closed. This is a rare occurrence, but...
Are you saying you are not the one who opened the gate?
Yes, Your Honor, I wasn't the one
You're
who
not
opened
the
it.
one who opened the gate. All right, go on.
So I'm watching Charlie play with some other dogs, Your Honor, and a squirrel catches his attention, and he starts booking it towards the squirrel, who in turn starts running outside of the dog park. I catch it instantly, Your Honor, and start pursuing Charlie, yelling his name, and I'm able to catch him at the sidewalk. Far
It was
before...
not. The
Right, hold
sidewalk,
on.
Your
Excuse
Honor.
me, ma'am. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. I do not want you to just shout out stuff. Go on.
Your Honor, way before the bike path, I caught up to him, and I
Well,
grabbed...
if you had, we wouldn't have had this accident. What do you mean?
I believe it was the squirrel that she dodged out of the way, which caused her to wreck into the bench. Because I had Charlie at the sidewalk. I caught up to him and I grabbed him.
Wait, when you say at the sidewalk is outside the dog park. And I guess you mean the bike trail when you say sidewalk.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Alvarez, do me a favor. Come on up to this chart that she drew up, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. All right. So that's the dog park,
Yes, Your Honor.
right? And where, according to you, was your dog? How far out did your dog get?
Charlie made it to the edge of the sidewalk here before I stopped him.
Without a leash.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in fact, the rules of the park are that your dog has to obey your vocal commands, or your dog shouldn't be off leash in the dog park even.
Yes, Your
right? Like, and that means, and I loved my dog. If my dog was at a trot, that dog was not listening to my commands. And apparently that's the same as your dog.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead and go back to your, I notice you have someone with you. Is this moral support or a witness?
It's a witness, Your Honor.
Okay, do you, come on up. What's your name?
Liang.
Okay, are you friends or?
Yes, we're friends. We met at the dog park. We've known each other for about 4 years since I moved to Memphis as a divorcee.
Okay.
And
Did you see what happened this day?
Definitely, I saw what happened.
What happened?
I was walking my French poodle, and in front of me was the plaintiff. I haven't seen her before, but I did register that she was going quite fast. Then I saw a squirrel go across her path, and she instinctively swerved to avoid the squirrel and ran into
Where was his dog when this was going on?
behind the bench, behind the fence.
So according to you, the dog is inside the park?
Yes, it was inside the park.
He doesn't even say that. He says that the dog was on the sidewalk.
No, when I first saw the incident, she was here and I'm here. We're going toward each other.
When she crashes into the bench, where's the dog?
When she crashed, it started the dog. The dog was going toward the squirrel, but when she crashed, and then it
How
started the
far
dog.
out did the dog get?
A little outside of the dog park. because her crash started the dog.
How fast do you think she was going?
She was going at least 15 miles. She was going pretty fast.
I was going 7 to 8 miles per
How
hour.
do either of you know how fast a bike
I
is going?
bike
I've always found this marvelously fascinating, how you could estimate how fast a bike is going.
Your Honor, I cycle regularly in races, so I'm very
Yeah, I know,
familiar
but you're
with-
also testifying on your own behalf. So if you're going to be my only expert witness, we also have a problem. But, you know, the real problem that I'm having is that, you know, she's where she's supposed to be, which is the bike trail. And your dog is not where the dog is supposed to be. The dog is outside the bike park. According to her, the dog is in front of her and she's avoiding the dog. According to you, the squirrel that the dog is chasing is in front of her and she's avoiding the squirrel that your dog is chasing, that your dog ends up being able to get out of the park in a place where your dog needs to be on a leash. Then you come in and you give me nothing but proof of your replacement value. I don't know if it's 5 years old, 10 years old, or 1 year old. I have no clue. So this is a part of my ruling where we do a little rough justice. And I look at your bike, which I can tell from the picture is a really nice bike. I can, okay? But I don't know how nice a bike it is. I am going to find you at fault for this because you're supposed to have, at a minimum, verbal control of your dog and an absolute leash on if the dog is outside the park. Both things from your lips didn't happen. So the question is, what value do I assess to your bike? Where the only evidence I have are your flapping gums instead of a receipt that would show me how young it is because you're telling me it's only a month old and how much it cost. I can tell that that is the same brand, but I cannot tell the age. I'm going to rule in your favor in the amount of $1,500 because no matter how you slice it, it's also a used bike. And what you are awarded in court is the depreciated value of the item at the time of the loss. You are not entitled to, everybody thinks they're entitled to replacement value, but they're not. They're entitled to the value at the time of the bad thing, depreciated. That's what you get, all right? Good luck to everybody.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $1,500.
You should never be allowed to have a dog again.
You shouldn't be allowed to have a bike.
Freaking could have killed me out there.
Use your brake out there.
Okay, I did use my brake, and that's why your dog is alive right now. You're welcome.
Yeah, no, you're ridiculous.
Coming up,
Don't do that. Those are for my eyes and my eyes alone. And I felt like I was getting controlled, and I think in that moment,
Is this the first time he controls you?
you're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. Jacob Gibson claims he was stuck with a hefty penalty after his ex dumped him and broke their lease. Ella Parake says the plaintiff became angry and controlling, and she no longer felt safe living under the same roof.
Mr. Gibson, you are suing your ex, Ms. Parake, for $7,475 because she broke a lease that the two of you had together. All right, how long were you two dating?
We were dating for 1.5 years. We met at UCLA. After we graduated, we decided to move in, and I wanted her to really understand my family. So we have this annual family trip that we go to every year to New Orleans, and
Annual?
I invited her. Yeah, every year we go.
Who in your family? Like your parents too?
Yes, all my family.
They're not tired of it?
They're not. They
Okay.
enjoy going every year. They went there for college.
Okay, for Mardi Gras.
Yes.
Okay, and what happens that night?
We were on the parade. She noticed that people were throwing beads, and she was wondering, oh, how do you get beads? And she noticed that these other girls were flashing them.
Meaning lifting their shirts and showing their...
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
And I told her that's something that we shouldn't do. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't think you should do that. And then she did it.
Okay.
And it's just something that, it was just not on
Did she
our-
get any beads?
She did.
Okay. And you two had a fight about that.
Yes. I pulled her aside, and
How
I was
long
like,
were you dating him?
We started dating 2 years ago. We were together about a year and a half.
If you know him, did you think that was going to go over well with him or not go over well with him?
Coming up,
Why is she responsible for the entire $6,500?
because she left me up with it. And
Right, but one might say that the breakup was your fault.
you're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Jacob Gibson, who is suing Ella Parake for breaking their lease.
I made a joke. I said, oh, so that's how they get the beads. And he turned to me so upset and was like, don't do that. Those are for my eyes and my eyes alone. And I felt like I was getting controlled. And I think in that moment,
Is this the first time he controls you?
There were signs from the beginning, but he'd never shown something like that until he was, I guess, in the stress of being around his family.
So you guys get into a fight, you get back to the hotel room, what happens?
When we woke up, we got in a fight. I did some things, and it was just not the best argument that we've had.
What did you say or do?
I took the trash can, and I emptied it on her bed, and I told her that you are trash, basically. I poured it on her bed. It was just a flight of emotions, and I was very sorry for it, and I wanted to make up for it, and I had to go with my parents, and I just left, and...
You're gonna ruin the whole trip and call her trash and go as far as you went over that?
Yeah, yeah.
Would you have acted differently if you'd known that it was gonna cost you the entire relationship?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, but it's a good thing that it cost you the relationship because you two weren't meant for each other.
No, I mean...
I don't think.
The trash thing was part of it, but that wasn't the beginning or the end. The night before, he took my arm, he pulled me aside to the other side of the street and grabbed me really, like I felt his fingers in my shoulders, and that aggression I'd never seen in the whole year and a half up until then.
What are you suing for? Tell me what you're suing for.
I'm suing her because we got an apartment together. Both of our names are on it. And if you look in the document, when you break the lease,
What happened when you came home?
I ended up telling him that I was cutting the trip short. I didn't feel safe around him. I flew back to LA, realized that it would have been the same situation. I mean, if this is how he acted in a hotel room with his parents.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't fault you for making a decision that you don't want to be with him anymore and deciding that you're going to leave. The thing is, there's a cost.
Judge Milian's verdict when justice for the people returns.
You have to do what's right for you in terms of the safety. There's no question about that. It's just that sometimes the thing that is right for us might cost us. Do you understand? Because you're both named on the lease. And what it says is if you guys break the lease, there is a $6,500 penalty clause, and both of you agree to it. Question, what's the rest of the money?
Because I had to move out my stuff, and so I hired a moving company.
Well, you would have had to do that anyway if she dumped you. Why is she responsible for the entire $6,500?
Because she left me up with it. And,
right, but one might say that the breakup was your fault.
It could
be. Is that
be.
what a court is supposed to do? Look at the couple and figure out whose fault the breakup is? So both of you agreed to pay that cost, right? That's where we are. She's not going to pay your moving costs. She had her own moving costs also. You can pay your own. But you've got to pay half of that cost that you incurred when you signed this lease. You said that if something happens and we have to break the lease, we're both in to pay this fee. $3,250, verdict for the plaintiff.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $3,250.
Any last remarks for each other?
I hope I never see you again.
Consequences have actions.
Okay. Exit this way, please. Make sure you grab all of your belongings.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.